So it's our Saturday evening gathering, and our Vasa period, or the rains retreat period, is moving towards its ending, its closure. Time passes, time marches on, but practice still has to keep on track. We have to keep our continuity of training, of meditation, of practice going. It's in the same way that the time moves on, we're not doesn't sort of go back. We don't get any younger. We don't get any. Our aging, sickness, and death keep moving, and that doesn't reverse. So that we do need to keep our commitment to practice and training. I think one of the words describing mindfulness is ardent, and that's a translation that Ajahn Jeff does, which is a good translation of the word atapi. And there's the ways that the Buddha describes mindfulness: atapi sampajano satima vinaya lokeya pichato manasa. So atapi is ardent, and it has the connotation of a commitment to energy. In the Thai language, it's putting the effort to incinerate defilements, to burn up defilements. And so it's not sort of lackadaisical, whatever kind of attitude. There's an ardency. So the sense of just a commitment to practice and training, and developing our growth in aspects of the training or the practice, meditation practice in particular, cultivation of the whole Eightfold Path that the Buddha lays down, but particularly the aspect of samatha vipassana, the development of tranquility and insight. It's something that we need to be attentive to with a constancy, so that even though it is getting toward the end of the rains retreat, whether there's a rains retreat or not, whether there's a winter retreat or not, we still have our practice that we need to be devoted to. So figuring out the ways to establish ourselves firmly in a tranquility, in samatha. Of course, any samatha practice, or all practice really, samatha vipassana, the whole thing is rooted in, its foundation is in mindfulness. It's continuity of awareness, an alertness, a presence of mind. That is there's a clarity and steadiness that needs to be cultivated. So that one of the, of course we do sitting meditation, and to the last couple talks I've given reference the 5 hindrances, and just for really paying attention to freeing the mind from the hindrances, and that's whether we're sitting, walking, standing, lying down, whether it's formal meditation or whether it's in our taking on responsibilities and chores. It's not letting the mind get overwhelmed by these hindrances. And particularly when we're sitting, because we want to cultivate tranquility, but it can, with that tranquility, if there's not a continuity of awareness, a clarity of mindfulness, then the say dullness, can easily creep in. Restlessness can creep in. Sort of the different sort of proliferations of the mind, of desire and aversion, can easily creep in. That sort of doubt or wavering of mind can easily creep in. So it's important to have kind of tools that you can check and see, am I mindful? And certainly it's something that I've had, I think we all have had to pay attention to over the years of our practice. And they found really paying attention to your posture in meditation. As they sitting in an upright posture, very nice and balanced, not slumping, not too stiff, not too tight, having really going through the experience of the body in a kind of a careful way, checking in with the body. Am I here? Am I present? Am I comfortable? Am I relaxed? Am I alert? And you don't have to be asking that all the time, but just that directing of mindfulness around the body. Is the head nice and balanced? Is it, making sure it's not tilted to one side or the other, not sort of, you still have a functioning neck and it's not, not slumping. Your shoulders are relaxed. Your chest is open. Your breathing is an open breathing. So that the breath is comfortable, because it's the more comfortable you can make the breath, the more readily the mind will tend to settle. So just having that, checking in with the area of the chest, is it relaxed? Because we can easily sort of feel that we're carrying around some worry, some concern, or there's a bit of a dullness there. So it's dispelling those with just the simple act of checking in with the body and clarifying the posture and the alertness of the present bodily presence. I mean, it's really interesting how much the Buddha puts an emphasis on mindfulness of the body. I mentioned recently with the Buddha saying, the deathless is lost for one who is not mindful of the body. Or the images that the Buddha uses for describing the four jhanas, which these are refined, peaceful mental states, but the way that the image that the Buddha describes is in relationship to the body, the bathman or the bathman's apprentice, and just that feeling of an integration of well-being, and the image of the water springing up from a deep spring in a lake. These are physical images. So they really tuning into the body. And as one's sitting, one of the tools that and I've used from very early days of my beginning meditation, and I found it useful, is they use it particularly in Soto Zen, using the hands in a mudra where one is touching the thumbs together and creating you can exaggerate it to making an oval, but just not letting the thumbs just sort of slump or just be randomly sitting in your lap. It's an extra layer of attention that helps to sharpen the mind. Just the thumbs touching lightly, and then you can check in from time to time. Am I present? Have I really lost that thread of awareness, or of that attention to detail? and making sure that one is nice and relaxed, but the mind is still sharp. It's really important. And of course that's also, one of the tools that the Thai forest tradition is, to keep the mind present and sharp. Is the use of Buddho, the in-breath, Bud, and To, Bud, To. It's just an extra layer of, there's a little bit of work to be done that you have to attend to so that the mind doesn't get sloppy. And I don't know about anybody else's mind, but my mind can definitely go to getting sloppy. And it's just this, our default option of not bothering. So I need a break. I need a rest. But you say the birth, aging, sickness, and death do not take a rest. We have this opportunity to be present and free the heart from its entanglements. First, that attention to posture, to the breath, the integration of the breath, the posture, so that it's not just relaxing, it's also energizing. Because you want to be lifting up an energy into the mind so that there is this clarity and a sense of alertness. That's from the descriptions of mindfulness. And that is Ajahn Jeff's translation as well of Sampajano, of usually translated as clear comprehension, and it's alert. And the mind is alert. There's an alertness there. Being mindful and being willing to step back from the habit of liking and disliking the desires and sorrows that we have toward the world. Vinaya lokeya bija domanasa. Vinaya is to pulling back from the likes and dislikes that we have toward the world. And the world, of course, is everything. Buddha was asked, the world, what is the world? And sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, mental states. This is the world. It's how we perceive and conceive of the world. That is the world. To be savvy to the world, and in order to be savvy to the world, one needs to be ardent, alert, mindful, and not getting entangled in the idiom that the Buddha uses over and over again of the problem of the human condition, and bound by ignorance and obstructed by craving. Comes up over and over and over again through the discourses, and it's a very, very simple and straightforward description of the problem that we and the duty that we have to disentangling. And in order to disentangle ourselves from the bonds of ignorance and craving, we need some clarity. And that's the tranquility aspect. And the insight is a reflect, because insight isn't like a result. It's the reflective investigation that we're willing to make about our experience of the world, our experience of the senses, the experience of what we think of when we think of ourselves and our world. What do we experience? And again, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, mental formations, mental objects, form, feeling, perception, mental formations, consciousness. Those are those aggregates of being that the Buddha points to. They are what constitute our experience of the world and the experience of ourself. This formation of I, this I am, the I am feeling. It's there's causes and conditions. The more clearly we can understand that, the more clearly we can develop a wholesome relationship with the world around us and ourselves. One that's committed to the wholesome, committed to the skillful, committed to the good. Because it's a very basic reason. It feels better. It feels better, and it results in a tremendous sense of well-being. And it's on the human level, I mean, of course, there's many, many avenues of pleasure, but what's really pleasurable is the peaceful heart, and peaceful mind, clarity. That's just it's so pleasurable, and everything else pales. That's one of the reasons the Buddha it points to a quality, nibbida, in Pali, and disenchantment. For a while, Bhikkhu Bodhi was translating it as disgust, which is not such a great translation. It's a bit too visceral, or it's just or negative. Whereas the Pali word that the Buddha uses is like nibbida, is this disenchantment, and actually disgust, in the sense of, if you take the literal root of the word of gust as in gustatory, you're losing the flavor. And it's like the charm is gone from the things that seem to excite us or ensnare us in our emotional ups and downs of liking and disliking, of wanting, not wanting, approving, disapproving. But it's the very nature of nibbida is a kusala citta. The mind is extremely wholesome. It's not associated with dissatisfaction or sadness or negativity in any way. It's by its very nature, disenchantment is freeing. It is uplifting. It's uplifting to the heart to recognize, I don't have to get tangled up in that anymore. That's not, I don't have to take on that burden and torture myself with this, complicate my life with this. I can relinquish it. I can let it go, because and the letting go is quite natural. It's not having to push anything away. It's sort of like that you realize something that you've picked up is kind of worthless. It's just not worthy of holding on to either. So it's that disenchantment. Nibbida is an important quality. And that's why reflections on anicca, dukkha, anatta. It's impermanence, the impermanent, changing, uncertain nature of all things, everything, internal, external, coarse or subtle, near or far. It has this inconstant, changing, uncertain nature, and worthy of relinquishing. And it's the sense of dukkha. It's unsatisfactory, conducive to dis-ease, discontent, stress. Why would we pick up something that adds to my stress and discontent? It doesn't make any sense when you see it clearly. But that's of course, that's the problem. We don't see clearly. And exactly why we need to be willing to cultivate our this mindfulness, this tranquility, this samadhi, this sense of steadiness of heart, steadiness of mind. And this is, it's anatta. It is not self. This is not me, not mine, not what I am. Can't really define, ourselves of having this fundamental essence through any experience of the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, mind itself. It just is you walk it through logically and calmly and clearly and say, oh yeah, it's like being devoted to relinquishment. It's one of the foundations that the Buddha points to as a for one who is really practicing, you have to be devoted to relinquishment. And of course, you want to relinquish what's painful, what's complicating, what creates more difficulty and dis-ease within the heart. But you want to be paying attention to, you want to be diligent in the things that increase clarity and well-being and stillness. This is, I would say, the Buddha's path is one that is, it's kind of interesting in the sense that the Buddha points to the suffering as the noble truth, the dukkha, as a point of investigation and again relinquishment, but that the nature of the cultivation of the path is one of happiness and well-being. That being established in the kusala dhammas, the wholesome qualities that are innately conducive to well-being and happiness, and keeping, being well established in virtue, having that integrity. It's just its natural result is well-being, being mindful and composed and steady within the heart. This naturally results in well-being and happiness. Seeing things clearly, reflecting, investigating, not in a confused way, but in there again with this steadiness of heart and a willingness to look closely, look deeply at the nature of our experience, the nature of the experience of the world around us. Yeah, it's deeply satisfying. So to be devoted to relinquishment, say, these two qualities, nibbida, disenchantment, and relinquishment, they go together. Just to recognize that we are, say, when we're sitting in meditation or we're doing walking meditation, same thing. It's not just sort of sitting there like a lump and waiting for the bell to ring. It's engage the attention skillfully. When you're doing walking, don't just walk back and forth, passing time. It's that being ardent and alert is essential to really growing in this Dhamma that the Buddha gave us. So I'll offer that for reflection this evening.